Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Good evening. This video contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences. Some of the information in the following video could be shocking to some viewers and is likely to cause unexpected reactions. This video is for educational purposes only and does not break any of YouTube's policies as outlined in their community guidelines. Viewer discretion is advised. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. How is everybody tonight on this lovely Monday? Let me see if I can, there, we can fix everything. Let me get the music off and get you guys up in the chat. Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network. We are streaming live tonight on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. This is Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. I am your host, Joni Skinner, and welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. And Rue, I saw you in the chat. Stay safe, my friend. I've been watching, and I know you've been watching up here too. We've been in like the alley zone, I think the last, 3 days of like, are there tornadoes or not? What a season. What an unbelievable tornado season. But stargazers and Rue and Sue, I know my astrologers out there. Jupiter, Uranus. Uranus, we're at the Great Conjunction. Uranus is natural disasters. Whenever Jupiter gets next to something, it expands. So guess what, Rue? They're separating right now. So they're at 3 degrees. We got a couple weeks of this, and then we should be out of the woods with the tornado. We have just, last night it was like, I don't even know. It was like at 1 in the afternoon, and then 5, and then I think at 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning. It was all night last night we had them, and they just kept pounding. I think we got like 3 inches of rain in an hour, and that just doesn't happen here. So please be safe tonight. I know we all have, thank goodness we've got those sirens, because that's what keeps us all safe. So hats off to the people that keep us safe, you know? So everybody, eye on the skies tonight, stay safe. And, you know, this, as soon as this separates, probably another degree, don't you think, Rue, when we get to about the 4 degree, 5 degree, where they separate, it's called separating. When they come together, it's a conjunction. When they start to separate, it starts to ease up a little bit. It's good energy though, but it's not so good when it's natural disasters. So if this conjunction were in the winter, you would be seeing massive snowstorms. Massive snowstorms. Oh, Lee says the storm's got to go. It's that, what's it called? The weather seeding. I'm calling it, I call it Jupiter Uranus. I don't know if it's weather seeding or not. I call it, got you shared out, but got some things going on. Hello, Sir Keith. How are you, my dear? Thank you for sharing out. You're it. You're the bomb. You stay safe too, my friend. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? I saw everybody in the chat earlier. And then I start talking to you guys before the show, and then I look up and I'm like, oh, the show's going to start. And here I am chatting. So Mr. Howie Odell's going, Joni, please stop it in the chat at 8 o'clock. The show's supposed to start. Whoops. Hello, Miss Sue. How are you? How are you, sir? Mr. Odell. How's it going, my Aquarian friend? You know, Uranus is your ruling planet. So you should be having some good luck right now, Howie. Go play the lottery while that's separating. Hello, Gina. How are you? Rough here today, too. Please be safe, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Hit the thumbs. Yeah, hit the thumbs up, you guys, if you're on YouTube. Welcome, travelers and those alike, from Mr. Odell. And, you know, by the way, he's got great shows on, too. And I watched Jean's show because she's on pretty late on Monday nights, but I watched her show at work. It was great. She's got a great show. Her show's on at 10 o'clock. Taboo Topics. It's a great new show that we've got on Rift Nation. And Howie's got his new show as well as his Sunday show that and I know a lot of you guys are interested in paranormal and investigations and going out and doing investigations. But if you're like me, who has never been on an investigation, I have no idea about the gadgets. I have no idea about the any of the equipment. I think it would be fun to do, get a couple of friends out, but where do you start? Well, Howie Odell has started a show that will tell us how to do that. So, you know, get on, go to the Rift Nation Network, look at all of our upcoming shows, go visit us on Facebook, go to our private page, which is the Travelers of the Rift Network on Facebook, and just check us out. We've got great shows, don't we, Howie? But I love that with the equipment. How are you, Miss Michelle? You're doing well in Alabama. I know Nebraska's doing okay tonight. Tennessee, Kentucky, and the Carolinas are getting nailed. Kentucky got nailed yesterday. They closed our government offices 2 days in a row. They shut down our offices at 2 o'clock due to the weather. So, yes, G3 is yes, here it is. Come visit us at G3. We will help you, show you the equipment, explain the past history and theories. It's a wonderful concept, you know, Howie, because it's kind of like astrology. You like it, you like to see what it does, but where do you get started? How do you get started? And like the equipment, or is the equipment good on those apps on your phone? Are they reliable? If not, also the little stickmen people that you see on YouTube videos where people are taking the pictures while they're doing investigations. They show up as stickmen. Where do you get those machines? I want one of those the machines that the little ghosts show up, spirits show up as stickmen. That would be fun. So yeah, Michelle, check it out. Check them out. I mean, I think it's a great idea, great concept, because if you don't know the equipment, and you can also buy the equipment on Amazon. I've seen it on Amazon, but I don't know what I'm looking at. So check out that show, new show. We got new shows. We have great new shows. So, welcome everybody. I hope your week is going great, staying safe, watching the skies. We've got a show tonight that Miss Michelle had. Oh, here we go. Here's Rue's got some input. Joni, I had an amazing EVP from my husband on an app. I'll check out that show too. Girl, let's all go. We'll go watch that show. It's on Sunday. He's on Sunday before his other show. What time, Howie, on Sunday? And we'll all meet. Let's all meet at G3 show on Sunday. Well, it'll be Mother's Day. So maybe next Mother's Day. If y'all aren't busy or if your Mother's Day activities are over, we can all meet in the chat at Howie's G3 show. And we'll get educated. That's amazing, Rue, that you had an EVP from your husband. I love that. That's wonderful. I would think it would be fun. I think it would be fun. And Renee is talking to Sir Keith. Okay, you guys, I had Michelle sent me a wonderful case last week, and she said she sent me the text, and she said, "Look at this. I don't know if you've ever heard of this case." So I looked at it, and the more it's a case from 2012, and the more I looked at it, it's one of those cases where you think that you have seen everything that you could possibly see in a true crime case, and then you see another one. Okay, and Miss Donna. Hi, Miss Donna. How are you, dear? Staying safe tonight? Yeah. Okay, I'll find out. It's before the Orion effect. See, we'll all meet over there, you guys. Maybe not this Sunday, like I said, because it's Mother's Day, but we'll all meet in G3 Howie Show's chat. And we'll just get our questions answered because I do not know anything about this equipment. So I'll find out. I want to say it's 5, but I'm not sure. I think it's 5 Eastern. And Howie's always got great shows. He's got a good personality. He's great on the radio. But so to get back on track with Michelle, she sent me this case on Brittney Wood. So we looked at the case, and it's very interesting, and we're going to go through it. But in between this case with Brittney, I don't know if you guys have been following, and I'm sure you all have because you're true crimers, the Micah Miller case out of Myrtle Beach. Hello, Miss Sue. How are you? The Micah Miller case has really been on the true crime radar this entire week. So what had happened with Micah? What a great name, too. Micah Miller is this beautiful 30-year-old woman. And there you see her leaving her apartment or condo. Was found unalived in a state park outside of Myrtle Beach, North Carolina. And or is it? I don't know. Yeah, North Carolina. And her husband, ex-husband, soon to be, she had filed for divorce. So all of a sudden, everybody was like, the husband, he's a pastor. Well, they were estranged. She had just filed for divorce. Apparently, they had been separated for a year. So, and she had known him since she was a little girl. He was a pastor. I guess there was, allegations of DV. And, I know if anybody else has been following and I'm making some errors, please correct me because I followed it, but I didn't really follow it too closely. So to make a long story short, she was found. So, and it's kind of unfortunately, it's such a tragic case, but I think it's a good lesson for everybody. And I'm guilty as well. that when something like this occurs, to let law enforcement do their investigation before we start, I don't know, pointing fingers at people. And, like we've always said on this show, you are innocent until proven guilty. So I think because the pastor had some things in his background, apparently has another friend that he's hanging with. There were a lot of, like any divorce, it's not pleasant, which none of them are. So with that being said, a lot of fingers were being pointed at the husband, her pastor. And he was actually, I think, relieved of his duties from the church. Protesters were outside of the church talking about DV, that she was a victim, and it was a shady, unaliving situation, blah, blah, blah. So what happened yesterday? The police did a phenomenal investigation. And as sad of a case that this is, and as much as they told and shared with the public of their findings, and the medical examiner came out and said, yes, it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. People still didn't believe it. I mean, it was trending on Twitter or X all last night that, irregardless of what the police said, what the medical examiner said, but just so sometimes we just got to step back and, it's a tragic situation. It still is extremely tragic. This is a beautiful young woman that has taken her life. So that in and of itself is sad. So, but I wanted to show you all, number one, the police work that was involved before we get to Brittney's case. And number two, the chart is, like, you guys have seen enough event charts and crime charts. When you see this chart, you're going to go, wow, look at the difference between these two charts. You're going to be like, yep. So it's pretty remarkable stuff. So these are the pictures that actually law enforcement released with their statement regarding the day of her quote unquote disappearance and unalived situation, which was April 27th, 2024. So this just happened. So this was around 11-ish that she left her condo house, Myrtle Beach. There she is in a parking lot, and her car is also seen in the parking lot. And this is all time stamped by law enforcement. She is walking into a pawn shop, which is actually, I thought, wow, that's a beautiful pawn shop in Myrtle Beach. And she is purchasing a weapon. So that's the weapon that she purchased. There she is on camera. And there she is walking into the actual pawn shop. Now, a lot of people said, well, she was moving on with her life. She was doing this, she was going to go to church with her friends. We can't step inside of somebody's head that has been suffering with mental issues. And apparently she did have them and was, whether or not she was suffering or not, we don't know. We're not. So again, law enforcement provided pictures of her on the highway headed toward this state park. Law enforcement also provided pictures of her ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband. He had an alibi. He attended a sports event. They showed pictures of him driving to the sports event from the cameras on the highway and coming back from the sports event on the highway. There she is, where she has pulled over, and she went into the store and got a drink, and I believe gas, but I don't know about the gas. This is all provided from law enforcement. So here she is at Lumber River State Park in North Carolina. Now, if you look at the red pin, that's where the Lumber State Park is. At the bottom arrow is where Myrtle Beach is. So that's the distance that she went. Now, Micah made a 911 call at 2:54 p.m. from the state park. And she said to the operator, will you be able to tell my location from my cell phone? I'm going to unalive myself and I want my family to find me. So she called the police, local police. When the police got there, they found her car. She was not there. Of course, she was not there. So they searched and they searched. And there was a witness that said he had heard crying. He was fishing. There was a lake. He had heard crying, heard a gunshot. And I mean, he told the police what he had heard. So eventually the law enforcement did find her in the water. They located the weapon, and it has been ruled a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, people are upset about this because it was ruled a self-inflicted unalive situation. So they came out Tuesday. The investigation was complete. They've provided the pictures. They provided the 911 call. As sad and horrific as it is, I think people need to just give prayers to the family, let the family handle this, and just that's enough. I think they should honor that and honor what a phenomenal investigation by the police. So I think it just comes a time when the true crime community needs to just kind of back off and let the family deal with what they're dealing with, which self-inflicted unaliving is a horrific thing that all families deal with, and it's terrible. But I wanted to show you guys this chart because it's unbelievable. I want you to take a look at the yellow arrows, which the yellow arrows are, as you know, over at the ascendant, which is represented by Virgo. Okay. So that means we look for Mercury. Yellow arrow, we look over into the 8th house. You guys know that the 8th house is the 8th house of DEATH. It's not a good house that we want to see anything in. We don't want to see anything in that 8th house. And that's where she is. She's also represented by the blue arrow, which is the moon, which is the home. So she basically started from her home. End of the matter is what happened to her. End of the matter. So also we have in the 5th house, you know, we've talked about the 5th house a lot, which is the 5th house is parks. It's sporting events. It's places that we enjoy, things that we like to do. Pluto. We don't like to see Pluto either. It's in the 5th house, which is the park. We've also got Neptune. Now, whenever something happens in the water, I always use a fixed star called Scheat, Scheat. It represents ships, shipwrecks, things that catastrophes at sea, unalive situations in and around water. As you can see, and I circled it in purple, Scheat is right with Neptune. Neptune represents water. It's in the house that's ruled by Pisces. Pisces is water. She was found in water. With what? Mars. Mars designates a weapon. You simply cannot make up this chart. Saturn is right there, which is the remains in the water. That's all by the purple. It's pretty shocking, I think. The 8th house also shows Chiron, the little K, which is inflicted body, something to the body. wounds to the body. We go to the top of the chart where it's circled in blue. MC, she's out in the open. The main thing that I saw too, Uranus at a malefic degree of 22. Uranus represents self-inflicted unaliving. So if anybody questioned whether or not this was self-inflicted or not, and they look at this astrology chart, there's no way that this was foul play. Algol, which is the demon star, which is injuries to the neck and the head, it's next to Jupiter. They're together, conjunct, they're together, blending of the energies. So that would be a head wound. It's, if you look at this chart compared, and I know you guys have looked at all these crime charts every week, we look at them. This crime chart, it's really not a crime chart, it's an event chart. But if you look at that, it does not look like anything else we normally look at. But it's all, I showed it to Rue today, actually. I said, look at this. It's all there. It just tells the entire story. And of course, we had, I used the 911 call, which was at, I think, 2:54, right before she did this. So we had, the exact timestamp of when this occurred. But if you notice, look at that packed 8th house. It's just very horrific. So I thought you guys would find, it's a tragic, horrible situation. My heart goes out to the family. Our family dealt with a self-inflicted unalive situation with a 12-year-old. And it is horrific for any family to go through. So but I thought you guys would really, just from a astrological scientific event chart, I think it's pretty mind-boggling. So, but if anybody's watching this case, that's her event chart. And Miss Tammy says, we just had a similar case the next day. They were going to court for custody, and all of a sudden, ex-wife went missing with her child. Night prior, they found her and the son the next day unalive. Yeah. That's self-inflicted, but I don't believe it. This one, though, some circumstances, I agree with you, Tammy, and every case individually has, different circumstances. But I think this one, with what the police provided in a 911 call, her voice and her telling them what she was going to do, a witness that heard, crying and then heard the gunshot. And and there has been there's a mental illness background. Neptune also represents mental illness as well. Neptune represents mental illness. And that's sad in and of itself, too. This is a very tragic case, but I think this chart's just super interesting. Super interesting. All right, you guys. Now we got a second one. This is Miss Michelle's case that she sent to me. And this is very interesting. This case is super interesting. But this is one of those cases that you need like a week at the beach, and that you're just sitting out on the patio with charts and a computer, because you could run so many different charts. And unfortunately, with older cases, we didn't have the technology that we have today, where the timestamps, we can find almost anybody now because of the accuracy of the timestamps. And when we have an accurate timestamp, the maps simply do not miss. And Rue can attest to that. Rue and I, every time somebody's found, we're like, this is unbelievable. They're 99% right. And the other 1%, when they're not right, is when the person, probably like me doing the map, screws it up or has the wrong number on there. This case is super interesting, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this case. I don't know why I never have. I don't know why. Now, this case took place in a little place called Tillman's Corner, down by Mobile, Alabama. Beautiful part of the United States. It's just lovely, down on the Gulf. And this is in 2012. There's the area, and the little girl's name, she was 19 years old, is Brittney Wood. Now, Brittney Wood was a single mother. She had a baby when she was very young, 17, and she was last seen on May 30th, 2012. She lived at her mother's house. Her mother remembers it was a hot evening. She left the house and told her mama that she was going to a friend's house. Now, what kind of happened looking back on the investigation? At one point, her mother said she was happy, she was fine when she left. And then another statement came out of the mother stating, no, she was aggravated. So, with time, that story changes. You know what I mean? So that's a little red flag in and of itself. She's going out with a friend, but her mother watched her walk down the street. And what little did her mother know, that was the last time that she would ever see her beautiful young daughter. She's a beautiful young lady. So that was on May 30th, 2012. Here's her missing poster. And then they always do the age thing where what she would look like now. So, and there she is with her daughter. Yeah, her daughter. Now, what had happened is, unbeknownst to her mother, Brittney met up with her uncle, Donnie, who is, if you can see in the picture, there's two women up at the top line, go down one, and it's Donnie. That was her uncle, Donnie. She met up with Donnie that evening. Just a little background. After Brittney disappeared, all of those people in that picture that were friends and family were arrested on charges of SOD. I'm trying to make sure that you guys know what I'm talking about. Of minors. The family was basically an entire ring. And they were all arrested. Family members. There were like 11, correct? Friends and family, Michelle, there were like 11 total, I think. So the two women on the top line are twin sisters. The one woman second over, Wendy, was married to Donnie. So what had happened is another relative found some information on 11. Yes, confirm, Michelle. There were 11 friends and family that were arrested in this particular ring. So what had happened is one of the relatives who actually got sentenced turned in Donnie and said there's inappropriate stuff on his computer to law enforcement. Now, law enforcement was going to talk to Brittney, who was going to turn evidence on Donnie the day before she disappeared. He was supposed to meet with law enforcement a couple days after Brittney disappeared. Red flag. Why was Brittney going to see Donnie? Probably to confront him. She was also a victim of this ring. Her brother was involved in this ring. Uncles. But the two women up at the top were twin sisters. Wendy eventually got 200 and some odd years. It's mind-boggling. So to continue the story, they go to Wendy, and there he is, her uncle Donnie. They drive from over to the left where the red pin is, that's where her home is, all the way over to to the eastern part to where they were living. Her phone last pinged. Well, she last talked to her boyfriend at 11:30 that evening. At 11:30, all calls stopped and went to her voicemail. All communication stopped on Brittney's phone. And her boyfriend was the last person that or baby daddy or ex-boyfriend, I don't know, was the last person she talked to. So of course, like I said, it's not as advanced as it is now. So you get pings, but I wonder if they could go through her old cell phone now and get out data. I don't know. Now, what happened is her phone last pinged, and I'm going to show you where it last pinged. All the way, let me see, I'll find it. Let me find where her phone last pinged. At a TA station. See, we're the TA Travel Center, my bad. Her phone last pinged at the TA Travel Station at, what was it, let me get the chart, 1:47 a.m. That's the last time her phone pinged. And it was actually, if you look at the black pin up north, is south of her home. Why did she go there? So the story continues. So the following day, nobody knows that Brittney is missing. Donnie goes off into the side of the highway and, quote unquote, unalives himself with Brittney's gun. Wendy and her friend, Wendy was the wife, found Donnie still alive, but critically injured. So, they call 911 and he was taken off life support like June 2nd or 3rd, I believe. And so he did not survive. So we've got Brittney missing. They tried to call Brittney because her Uncle Donnie was in the hospital. And nobody knew Brittney was missing. Then they realized that Brittney was missing. Donnie is on life support. He unalived himself. So while they were investigating, they were already under investigation for the charges. Okay. However, this blew it open when Brittney basically went missing. So Wendy was charged with endangering the welfare of a child. I can't really read these charges on here because it's fluff tube. First degree SODOMY. ST, which is, what the S means, torture and abuse. And second, little circle, SOD. She got over 200 something years. Her twin sister Mendy, so it's Mendy and Wendy, the evil twins. Jeez. Charges of second degree SOD and abuse of a child less than 12. It's mind-boggling. One of the uncles was charged with same thing, and then add the IN word with it, brother sister thing. Another one was enticing a child into a dwelling. The list of their charges. Look at this. It is. You can look it up on the web, and you can see. It's. Isn't it, Michelle? It is mind-boggling what this girl went through. It's a nightmare. I can't believe it didn't make the media. I guess it did. I guess it did. And it was, and Michelle's correct, it was several children. It is. It is beyond, Jennifer, disgusting. It was beyond, and that's why when Michelle had given it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, missing. And then I started digging into it. I'm like, this is like something out of a horror movie. One of the worst I think I've ever seen. It's a horror movie. And, I don't, and Kathy says her phone traveled. They took it, yet she did not go there. Now, I agree with that, Kathy. Now, in Donnie's car, they found the battery of her phone. They have never found her phone. They also found her weapon. So, another thing that came back suspicious to me is that when the medical examiner report said he did it in the back of his head. Now, I've never known somebody to self-inflict themselves to the back of their head. So, and yes, and there is also, thank you for that, Michelle. There's a documentary, Monsters in the Shadows, on this. And is it on Hulu? I don't know if it's Hulu, Netflix. It's called Monsters in the Shadow. I don't know if I could watch it. It was several children. And apparently, Brittney had talked to her cousin prior to going out and was going to confront the uncle. And I think, she was going to tell on everybody. And I think that was what her demise was, what happened to her. That's what her mother continues to say too. We don't know. Now, when I looked at the charts again, I'm going to pull up the charts. The timestamps are estimated. So we just take that kind of like just to learn and to look at them. And I mean, it's just such a sad case. And I know I've got more pictures because from that, when he drove from up where he was at his house back down to where Brittney lived, you're driving over the bay, complete water, like an ocean. So there's an area where anything could have happened to her from, and if she's out in that bay, it leads to the ocean. I just don't know if she'll ever be recovered, unfortunately. Let's take a look at the 1:47 a.m. chart that I mapped. Now, I mapped it because I felt like this was the most accurate time. But again, this is one of those cases that you need to do about 5 or 6 charts with every timestamp you've got and really dig into the rabbit hole to see if anything makes sense to you. And that's what, for like a forensic astrology case that you've got, that you don't really know all the pieces of the puzzle. You have to really sit with it and jump in the rabbit hole and just mess around and do mapping and lots of maps and see if something feels right. See if the vibe feels right. Now, this 1:47 a.m. chart, again, we're going to look at Brittney, where she is over where it says AC, Pisces, which is the ruler is Neptune. Look at that. 12th house, very well hidden. Water. Pisces. So we look down at the 3rd house. Remember the 3rd house? That means within the neighborhood. And that's where she was. She was with her uncle, an older man, and the perp. The perp is represented right there by Mercury because it's Virgo. And well, look at that. A female right next is in this group. Look at that. Gemini. 2 people immediately off the bat. We got 2 people. Male and a female. Maybe 2 males. We don't know. The end of the matter is the IC. It's at that 22-degree malefic mark. We go up to the perp, and we see Mars, which would have been a weapon or, some kind of violence. And Britt is represented by the moon, and she is attached. She's the co-ruler. She's attached to the female. She's also attached to the male coming off of there. And we've got the remains in Saturn. Now, if it's by Libra, that Libra can be a barn. Libra can represent a barn. Jupiter can also represent a church. Can also represent a school. And apparently, looks like if it's Pluto up there at the 10th house, that's from the travel place. So that's just kind of guessing, but I think it's kind of an interesting chart for that one. That clearly shows two people. Clearly shows two people. Now let's take a look at when she was talking to her boyfriend. And I used the area where she was at her Uncle Donnie's house. Okay. So she's represented again over to the AC. And that's Aquarius. Okay. So she would be represented by Uranus. And there she is, down by Aries. She's also the moon. And I don't know why I put Jupiter. I just made a mistake. But she's also up at the top of the chart with moon as the co-ruler. Again, we've got Libra, the two people. Again, we've got the older man. We've got the female. And that was when she was on the phone with her boyfriend. Phone could be Mercury. So it's like we've got Mars. Is that the weapon? Is that the gun? Did she always had the gun with her? So that's kind of, it's not fourth house in a home. And she was at Donnie's home at that time. Do I think she was unalived at that time? 7th, 8th. No, but I think it was getting ready to, because we've got her and the moon connecting. So that's her. But I don't think it had happened right then. I don't know. That's one of those things that we don't know. I need to sit down and play with it more. Chime in, Rue, if you see anything else in those charts. Okay. And Michelle says he lived in Baldwin County, I think. And also chime in, Michelle, if you see something as well that you'd like to add into the chat, because you know this case a lot more than I do. Excuse me. Now, I think what's interesting, when I mapped it from the travel center, look at that. That map comes, one of those lines comes very, very close to her house. And that was the Jupiter line through that came up to her house. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We don't know at 147 where else they traveled to from the travel station. We don't know. Her phone pinged then. Is that when they took the battery out of the phone? I don't know. They don't give a whole lot of details with that. But that's the mapping. Oh, it is, isn't it? It is. And it's the Jupiter line. And look how close it comes to her house. It goes right up to her house. One of the lines goes to her house. It is interesting. See, if you see it right there. And you know what else is interesting on all these lines, Rue? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Everything is pointing east. Just about everything is pointing east. The DC is pointing east. It's everything. It's all pointing east. And it goes to, and look at that line that goes right up to that major highway that would have been right back up to that, his home. So this takes a lot of see if you can see on there that one line, that's the Jupiter line, and that's where her house is. I thought that was super interesting. But again, you know, it's older cases, you have to really sit down and try to crack them. So I'm not done with this one yet. I'm going to really keep looking at this because Jupiter could also be, like I said, it could be a church, it could be a school, or what was the reason one of those lines is almost going to her house? I don't know. But if you notice, they're right back on that main highway too. So, Miss Michelle, thank you for that. But I'm not done with this case. I'm not done with this one, Rue. This one's got me really thinking. It narrows it down for sure. There's a couple of, I would like to do the chart when he unalived himself. I would like to do the chart when she left her house at 7:30. And then put those maps together. And then when I get all that work done, we'll come back and look at it again, because when you have one of these cases, it's not an open and shut when you've got to really dig in deep when you don't have a good timestamp. But this is when you end up with about 6 charts and about 20 maps. And then you need intuition to kick in. So that's what I text Rue, because Rue has the best intuition when it comes to, Rue has the best intuition. You know, it's a sad case because she still has her daughter that doesn't know where her mother is. And Brittney's mother is still searching for her. She deserves to bring Brittney home. It's a horrible case. I wish, if any of the family members that are incarcerated that know something would tell, just to give this family some closure, because they're not getting out of jail. I don't see somebody getting 200 something years is ever getting out of jail for parole. I just, maybe, but I don't think so. So does anybody else want to weigh in on that case? I mean, I'm not done with it. I'm going to keep plugging away at it, but I just thought that line going to her house was pretty interesting. Also, and if anybody gets any clairvoyant feelings, please, weigh in too, because you all would know. But that area over there, there's a river. And I felt that was very interesting too. And I think, unfortunately, I have my pictures, and I must have put Micah's pictures over some of the pictures that I had originally out for Brittney, because I had some of the highway. But the highway is, if you've ever seen some of those highways that stretch out in Florida, where on each side is a bay, that's what it looks like. So that's it, you guys, for Micah's case and for Brittney's case. Does anybody else have anything else they want to weigh in on the case? Thank you, Michelle, for sharing that. It's an interesting case, and I'm not done with it. I still need some time to do some more charts. And after class this weekend, I'll have more time to sit down with it and do it. I think it's interesting, Donna. If anybody, oh, you're welcome, hon. It was great. Miss Donna, if anybody gets any intuitive feelings, please, please let me know, because it is. It's thank yous. It is extremely sad. And Linda, the family needs closure. Her mother needs closure. Her daughter needs closure. And just some interesting things, too, from last week, for sure, is that Noah's case, remember we did Noah's case last week from Oklahoma. His case has really taken off. There was a piece in the Daily Mail. It's being shared out. A lot of people are sharing. They're going to try to put together a GoFundMe for a reward. Someone has come forward with an anonymous reward for $5,000 for somebody to talk. So that's what happens when cases get traction. And that's what true crime community does. And it does it best. It brings attention. And then law enforcement, unfortunately, has to pretty well, their hands have to look at them. Let's hope so. I mean, they deserve that too. Noah, yes. And a medical examiner also said they felt that this could have been where he was being dragged by a vehicle as well. So it could have been an accident where he was drugged behind a car, or who knows? But if somebody knows something, they need to come forward with Noah's story. And if you didn't see Noah's story, it's on YouTube from last week, and please view it and share it. Have a great weekend, and so much water, hard to tell. It is. Oh, you're welcome, hon. You're welcome. And let's see. Your voice was making me nod off. I'm tired. I know. Well, you know what? And tired tonight. And you know what? We in our area, and Donna could say too, we had storms all night last night that were so loud. We had so much lightning last night. Like I said, we got 3 inches of rain just in 1 hour, and that was at 2 a.m. But we had lightning shows all night long, and it was loud, cracking lightning. Like when I came out and it was dark, I didn't even have to turn the lights on because the lightning just lit up everything. So everybody, thank you so much. Good night, Jean. Gina, thank you, hon. Thanks, Gina. You guys stay safe from all the storms too. And just as an update, we were going to have the other astrology, the series class on June 15th. Hadley has her dance recital that day. So it is now June 22nd. That's the class Linda will be in. Linda and her granddaughter now is going to take the class. So everybody, that I'll talk more about the June 22nd, PM me and I'll get you on the list for the video class. Thank you, Miss Lee. I'll look at your case too that you sent me. Oh, thank you, Miss Kathy. And everybody, please stay safe tonight. And I know, here we go. We're like on round 3, Donna. I know, I hear you. We're not getting any sleep here. It's keeping us awake. So everybody have a safe week. And have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day, everybody. And if you're signed up for class, I'll see you at class on Saturday video. And if not, I will see you guys next Wednesday for another episode. So thank you guys for tuning in and have a great week. Stay safe. Good night.